Term 6, Lesson 24, Unit 5.6, Part 2. Here's a remember task for you to try out. Okay, a little bit of fluency there on the left, a little bit more wordy on the right. Give this a go, press pause on the video, and press play when you're ready to carry on. Okay, the fluency. Work out 80 divided by 10. Okay, if you remember, we're dividing, so we're moving the digits one place over to the right. So the 8 will move over here, and that 1 will drop off the other side of the decimal. 9 divided by 10. 9 is in the ones column, so it's going to move one place over, and you'll have to put a 0 in the ones column to make it 0.9. 25, the 2 is going to move into the ones column, the 5 is going over into the tenths column, so 2.5. 170 divided by 10 is 17. Right, Harry, Will, Josh, Callum enter the pub quiz. There are 60 questions in the quiz. Harry got all of his answers correct, but had to leave halfway through. Will got 2/3 of his answers correct. Josh got 60% of his answers correct. Callum answered all 15 questions in the music round correctly, and he scored 100% on all the questions in the other rounds. In what order did they finish in the pub quiz? Okay, so Harry got all of his answers correct, but he had to leave halfway through. So he only did 30 questions. So 60 left halfway through, he got 30 points then. Will got 2/3 of his answers correct, so we need to find 2/3 of 60. Now remember, you divide by the denominator and multiply by the numerator. So 60, the denominator is 3, is 20, that is 1/3, but we want 2/3, so it's 20 times 2. So his marks were 40. He got 40 marks. Josh got 60% of his answers correct, so we want 60% of 60. So we find 10% by dividing by 10. And because we want 60, not 10, we multiply our answer by 6, because 6 times 10 is 60. So 6 times 6 is 36. He got 36. So Callum answered 15 questions incorrectly, so not correctly. So we need to take 15 away from 60 to find out how many he got 100% for. So he got 100% for 45 questions, for the other 45 questions. So in what order did they finish in the pub quiz? So it looks like Callum came first with 45 marks. Will got 40 marks, so he was second. Josh got 36, so he's third, and Harry got 30. Sorry, I moved that one a bit quickly. Okay, if you need to write those down, press pause again, and press play when you're ready. Okay, so to find 1% of 300, we do 300 divide by 100. Remember, percentages is out of 100, so if we only want to find one part, we've got to divide by 100. So to find 1% of 600, it's 600 divided by 100. 6 goes into 6, it doesn't, so we put the 0. 100 into 60 doesn't go, so we carry the 60 over. 100 into 600 is 6 times, okay? You may well be able to do some of these without doing the bus stop. I'm just showing what it is like, okay? So 920 divided by 100. 100 into 9 doesn't go. 100 into 92 doesn't go. 100 into 920 goes 9 times, but there's 20 left over. So we need a decimal. There's our 20 left over. We need to put a 0 to give it value, because that was a remainder. Okay, so that 20 remainder now becomes 200. So 100 into 200 is 2 times. So 1% of 920 is 9.2. Okay, so without doing the bus stop, if you're just looking, if this was our decimal here, it's now disappeared. So it's like those two zeros have disappeared when we're dividing by 100. Remember, divide by 100, this 6 moves from the 100 into the tens, that's by 10. By 10 again, it goes into the ones column, okay? So you might not always have to do this. Sometimes you might find it a little bit helpful to do the bus stop dividing. Other times you might be able to think, right, it's moving 100, 2 zeros, so that's 2 places. 1, 2. If we look at this one, the 9 moves over 2 places. 1, 2. And the 2 moves over 2 places. 1, 2 into the decimals. So we end up with 9.2. Okay, so the 3, moving 2 places, 1, 2, it's going to go into the tens column. I'll just show you that quickly with the bus stop here. Okay, so it equals 30. Even though we've got a whole answer here, 100 into 300 goes 3 times. There's no remainder, but we still have to do 100 into 0 is 0. So the answer is 30. Okay, so again with the 50, got a remainder of 50, so we need decimals in there, and a 0 in the ones column, and it's going to be 0.5. Okay, if we just move our 2 places, 1 into the tenths is 2. So it's in the tenths column. Same thing for 75. We move it over 2 places. Remainder, put our decimals and our 1 in the ones. The remainder of 50. Okay, so it's just showing you with the actual dividing about moving these over 2 places. So 1 into the tenths 2. The 5 into the tenths into the hundredths is 2 places. Put a decimal, and because you've only got decimal numbers, you need to put a 0 in the ones column. Last one, 199. 1 remainder, 19 remainder, goes in 1 with 99 remainder. Put our decimal in. 100 into 990 is 9 times with 90 left over. 100 into 900 is 9, 1.99. Okay, so the 1, 1, 2, the 9 into 1 into the tenths, this 9 into the tenths into the hundredths. Okay, you need to find a way which suits you. If you need to carry on doing this, do so. If you can just move the digits over, do so. Okay, press pause on the video and copy these 6 examples down, please. If you want to just put the questions with the answers, that's fine. If you want to do a couple with this, just to show what's going on, that's also fine. Press play when you're ready. Okay, when you're working out more complicated percentages of amounts, you can make notes or use jottings to help you. So for example, if you wanted to work out 26% of 60 metres, first of all, we'd find 10%. So 10%, we know now, we divide by 10. So 60 divide by 10, 1 0, so 1 place. 6 moves over into the ones column, and the 1 drops off. So we've got 6 metres. But we want 20, not 10. So if we multiply 10 by 2, we get 20. So we need to multiply our 6 metres by 2, our answer. So 2 times 6 metres is 12 metres. So we've got the 20, but we need 26. So we've got to work out how we can get the 6. Different ways of doing it. The way this example shows is to half the 10, and we get 5. So 10 divided by 2 gets 5. So we have to 6 divided by 2 gets 3. So now we've got 25% if we add those two together. But we need another 1%, okay? So if we divided 10 by 10, we would get 1. So we need to divide 6 by 10. It's going to move over 1 place. The 6 was here. We're moving it over 1 place. So it becomes 6/10. So now if we look here, we've got 20, 25, 26. If we add those 3 answers together, So we need to add 12, add 3, add 0.6. 12, 13, 14, 15, 0.6. 15.6 is 26% of 600. I would suggest that you press pause on the video and copy that example down. When you're ready, press play. Okay, so let's have a go at doing some of these percentages that we've got to build up with bits. So using jottings to help you, I'm going to do the first one with you, and then you can have a go at the other three on your own. Okay, so we need to find 15% of £40. So first of all, we're going to find 10%. 10% we're dividing by 10, 1 0, so we're going to move one place. So that 40, 4 moves into the ones column, it becomes £4. So we know 10% of 40 is £4. Now if I divide 10 by 2, I get 5%. So I need to divide 4 by 2. So if I divide by 2, I get my 5%, and half of 4 is 2. So now I've got 10, add 5 is 15. So if I add my two answers together, I will have 15%. So £4, add £2 is £6. Okay, press pause on the video, copy that example down, part A, and then do B, C, and D. Have a go at them. Press play when you're ready to carry on. Okay, so 35% of 90. First of all, we're going to find 10%. Divide by 10, 1 0, so one place. That 90 kilograms becomes 9 kilograms. That's our 10%. We want 30. So if I multiply 10 by 3, I'll get 30. But I have to multiply my 9 by 3 then, so I'll get 27 kilograms. Now I also need to add 5%. So if I do my 10% divided by 2, I'll get 5. So I need to do 9 divided by 2. Half of 9 is 4.5. Okay, so now I've got 35 if I add these two together, so I'm going to add my two answers together. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31.5 kilograms. Okay. C. 10% of 50 is 5. Okay. 10 divided by 10, 1 0, one place, so the 5 moves over into the ones. I want 20, so I'm going to multiply this by 2. 10 times 2 is 20, so 5 times 2 is 10. So I've got my 20%. I need a 1%. I get my 1% by dividing my 10% by 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1, so I need to do 5 divided by 10, which is 0.5. I'm dividing by 10, 1 0 in the 10, so I'm going to move it over one place. It's in the ones, so I'm going to have to move it over into the tenths, for a 0.5. Okay, so the 5 has gone from here to here. So now I've got 21%. So 10 add 0.5 is 10.5 meters. D, 85% of 120. So first of all, you're going to find 10%. Okay, we're moving, dividing by 10, so we're moving one place because there's 1 0. So the 1 will move into the 2 place, and the 2 will move into the 1's place where the 0 is, so you'll end up with 12 kilometers. Now we want 80, so we need to multiply 10 times 8 would be 80. So we need to do 12 times 8. Okay, you should know this by now because you should know all your tables, but I'm just showing you over here. 2 times 8 is 16, carry the 1. 1 times 8 is 8, add the 1 is 9. So 12 times 8 is 96 kilometers. So I've got my 80, but I need 5%. So if I half of my 10, half of the result of my 10, I will have 5. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So now I've got 85%. Add these two together. So 96 add 6 is 102. Okay, if you need to press pause or rewind to copy any of those down to correct any errors, please do so. Press play when you're ready. So, now, a different way of finding percentages, we can use a multiplier to work out a percentage by using the decimal equivalent of the percentage. So if we think about the whole line being one whole one, we divide it into 10 bits. 10 times 10 is 100, okay? So one little chunk is 10%, because we'd have, let's start from this end, we'd have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100%, okay? So 10%, one little piece, we could write that as 10 over 100 if we wrote it as a fraction. They both end in 0, so we could cancel out one of the zeros on top and bottom by dividing by 10, and which shows 1/10. We know now, as a decimal, we write 1/10 as 0.1. This is the tenths column. We've got 1/10, so it's 0.1 in our tenths column, okay? So we've got 0.1, add 0.1 would make 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That would make the whole thing, one whole one, okay? So if we wanted to work out 20%, come back. If we wanted to work out 20%, we would multiply by 0.1, add 0.1, which is 0.2. So when we say we're using a multiplier, we're using this little grid here to say, if we wanted to find 20% of a number, we would multiply our number by 0.2. Okay? Keeps going on. It's desperate to move on. So to find 10%, you would multiply by 0.1. Okay? To find 20%, multiply by 0.2. If you needed to find 30%, you would multiply by 0.3, etc. I would suggest actually doing that little grid so that you can refer to it later. I think I've put it on the next slide anyway, if anybody saw it quickly, so to help you, but it would be a good idea if you had it in your books, okay? That would be good to refer back to. When you're ready, press play. So, okay. Write a calculation using a multiplier to work out 20% of £8. So, okay, using this little grid, 20% is 2 chunks, that's 0.2. So we're going to do 0.2 times £8. Now I've put 0.2 on the top because it's got 2 digits and this is just a single digit. It doesn't matter which way round you write it. I just find it easier to do it with the more digits on top than on the bottom. So 2 times 8 is 16. We carry the 1. 8 times 0, come back mouse, 8 times 0 is 0, because anything times 0 is 0. So 0, add the 1 that we've carried, is 1. And we've got 1 decimal place in the question, so I need 1 decimal place in the answer. Okay? If I just go back a second here, we can have 16. So we could say 2 times 8 is 16, but this has been divided by 10, so we need to divide this by 10. So move the digits over, if you like, to make a 1.6. Okay? You remember how you want to remember it. My easy way is just to look at the question. I come in 1 decimal place, so my answer comes in with my decimal into 1 decimal place. So we look at B. We got 30% of 35. Okay, so if we look at the grid, 30% would be 1, 2, 3, 0.3. Oh, sorry, going back to A, I wondered why we weren't moving on. Because it's money, we need to put a 0 on the end to make it £1.60 rather than 1.6. So B, we've got 35 kilograms multiplied by 0.3. If you look, I've swapped them round this time. I've put the multiplier on the bottom rather than the top, because this is in effect kind of one digit, because I don't have to do that multiplying, because 0 times 5 will be 0, 0 times 3 will be 0. So I'm saving myself a little bit of time here. So 3 times 5 is 15, carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9, add the 1 is 10. There's no decimals there, but there's one decimal place here, so I need one decimal place in my answer. 10.5, and it's kilograms. So C, we've got 40% of 32 litres. So 40 would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 0.4 would be my multiplier. So again, I've got 32 litres, so I'm putting that on the top, times 0.4. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. I've got one decimal place in my question, so I need one decimal place in my answer. So it's 12.8 litres. So finally, 60% of 7 tonnes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be 0.6 is my multiplier, times 7. Okay, I've swapped them around like I did for the first one here to put the 2 digits on top, because I'm only multiplying this 1 digit down here. So 6 times 7 is 42, carry the 4, and 0 times 7 is 0, but add 4 is 4. One decimal place in the question, one decimal place in the answer. So it's 4.2 tonnes. Okay? Do any corrections that you need to, pressing pause on the video and press play when you're ready. Right, each month Karen gets £50 pocket money. She spends 24% of her pocket money each month on her phone. How much does she pay each month for her phone? Okay, you're going to do this one on your own, but I'll just give you a hint to find your multiplier. So 20% is 2, 30% would be 0.3, but we don't want 30%, we want 24%. So it's going to be 0.24 is your multiplier. 0.24, because we're coming along a little way. So we'd want a 4 here. Okay, have a go at that one. Press play when you're ready and we'll check your answer. Okay. Oh, I've gone into... This is the way we first started doing it. 10% of 50 is £5. To find 20%, we multiply by 2. So we've got £10. We want 4%, so we need to find 1% by dividing our 10%. So 10 divided by 10 is 1. 5 divided by 10 is 0.5, so it's 50p. But we don't want 1%, we want 4%. So now we need to multiply this by 4. 1 times 1 is 4, so 50p times 4 is £2. Now I add the 20 and the 4, I've got 24. £10 plus £2 is £12. Okay, so that was quite involved. Look at, we've got 1, 2, 3, sort of 4, 5 lines of working there really. And if you can add more to that, if we add these lines, what we're doing, okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines, if you like, there. And it is fine to do it that way if you're happy with doing it that way. Now, if we look to use the multiplier, our alternative method, 24%, so 20 would be 0.2, but the 4 would be 4 hundredths on here. So 0.24 is our multiplier, and we've got £50 is our pocket money. 0 times 4 is 0, 0 times 2 is 0, 0 times 0 is 0. So I don't need to multiply the ones, so I'm going to put a 0 in the ones column so that I can multiply the tens now. 5 times 4 is 20, carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10, add the 2 is 12. And I can put the 12 straight up here because 5 times 0 is 0. So now I've got 1,200 here, but I've got 2 jumps in with a decimal. 2 jumps in with the decimal. So it's going to be £12. Okay. This one might be a little bit harder to remember, and you do need to know your tables. But look how compact that method is. We've only got 1, 2, 3 lines of working, and we've got our answer. Absolutely fine if you're more happy doing this method, finding 10%, you can double it or treble it or whatever to find how much you need in the percentages. Sorry about that. And you can divide by 2 to find 5%, divide by 10 to find 1%, and work out the bits that you need and add them together. Fine to do it that way. Fine to do it that way. Okay? You make the decisions. Which way are you happier working with? Okay, press pause if you need to write this down and really look at it and think, what on earth's gone on there? Otherwise, press play and we'll just carry on. So, blue slide, you try this one absolutely on your own without me saying anything. You choose which way you do it. Press pause on the video and press play when you want to check your answer. Okay, a dog agility competition makes £854.87 profit. The organisers give 20% of the profit to charity. How much do they give to charity? Round your answer to a suitable amount. Okay, so we want to find 10% of £854.87. Remember, the digits are going to move over 1 to find 10%. So the 8 moves into the tens, the 5 moves into the ones, the 4 moves into the tenths, 8 moves into the hundredths, and the 7 moves into the thousandths. So we've got £85, 48.7 pence, if you like. We want to find 20%, so we need to multiply by 2. So 20% is 2 times 7 is 14, 2 times 8 is 16, add the 1 is 17. 2 times 4 is 8, add the 1 is 9. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1. 2 times 8 is 16, add the 1 is 17. We've got 1, 2, 3 jumps in for a decimal in the question. So we've got 1, 2, 3 jumps in with the answer for our decimal. Now I know so far the multiplying we've done, it looks like the decimals just line up, but be careful because sometimes you multiply a decimal by a decimal and you just need to count the total number of jumps in. Okay, these ones have just been convenient that we've only got 1 decimal, so it looks like we're lining them up. But multiplying is the only time with decimals that you don't line up the decimals until you've got the answer. Then you place your decimal. Okay, but this is not quite right for money, is it? We've got £170.97. Okay, so we need to round that 7 either to leave it alone or add 1 to it because we want 2 places when we're doing money. So we come to the right and look at the 3rd decimal place. It's less than 5, so we leave the 7 alone. And it'd be £170.97. Okay. Round your answer to a suitable amount. That is a suitable amount. You might have rounded it up to £171. I don't think they would have given you that as a wrong answer either. Okay. But that's fine. Okay, black slide, last slide, your challenge. A savings account pays 1% interest each month. At the beginning of January, Shane puts £10,000 into the account. How much interest will he receive at the end of January? So find that out. How much will he now have in his account? So you need to add that interest to the original amount to find out how much he has in his account. So then how much interest will he receive at the end of February? Now that's different because in January he only had the £10,000, but for February he had the £10,000 plus the interest from January. So you'll be finding that 1% interest on a higher figure. And then how much will he have in his account now? And then see if you can work out how much he will have in his account at the end of March. Oh. Press pause, have a go, and then press play when you want to check if your answers are as they should be. Good luck. Okay, so let's find 10%. Oh, we've jumped straight into the find 1% by dividing by 100, okay? So we're not going to divide by 10 again. I thought we could just divide by 100 straight away. So divide by 100 straight away, it's like we're losing 2 zeros, so we'd have £100. So that's how much he had at the end of January as interest. So if we add that to the original £10,000, he'll now have £10,100, okay? He had that much money, he earned that much interest, so we add that to the original amount. So at the end of January, he now has £10,100. So how much interest will he receive at the end of February? So now we're looking for 1% of 10,100. So 10,100 divided by 100, that's going to leave us with £101. So how much does he have at the end of February? So remember, he started with 10,100. You're adding that new 101. So he's now got 10,201. So work out how much he'll have in his account at the end of March. So this is another month, and we're starting with this amount. So divide by 100, 1, 2, he'll have £102 and a penny interest, £102 and a penny. So you add that to the original amount he started the month with. So you'll have £10,303.10. Okay, absolutely superb if you got all 3 parts right. Well done for having a go if you did have a go at that one. If you didn't, you might want to copy it down because it could be useful for you. And thank you for watching and listening. And you should be having this unit's homework coming up. Remember to have a piece of paper with you so you can work them out before you make your selection. I've got a feeling some of you are just doing the homeworks and trying to do them all in your head and then just guessing an answer. Use some paper, make notes, and I'm sure you'll do a lot better. Well done. See you in the next unit.